Hey, everybody, hit that like and share the show. Sorry we're starting a bit late. Be up in just a moment. Check. Sibilance. All right, let's jump straight in. Hi, chat room, real quick. I want to bring you guys in. Sorry I'm running a little bit late, and I don't want to keep our guests waiting any longer than I already have. Major Ojeda with us, my brother Ojeda Ferenczi. I put that down there because you are officially a full-on, full-fledged, running about, candidate right now. It's so exciting, and I don't know if now that you're officially the dude, if you've got to tap the brakes or tap dance around the way you normally have to talk about these issues, but I kind of think not, because I think that's exactly what makes you you.
Brother, so, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be
right.
me. And
that's
I'm
right.
not going to stop being me. And if I make it to Washington, D.C., I'm going to be me. And I think that's what we need.
I absolutely could not agree more. If there's anything Washington, D.C. needs more of, it's you, my good friend. And I got to say, when we're thinking about a situation where you'd be running in a district which would be, let's just say tilt right. I'm not going to give them full credit for the field because the guy you're going to be up against has barely spent any time in his district. He seems like one of these guys. This is a big thing on the Republican side, which I find very strange, which is run against Washington to get a job where you will spend a good deal of time in Washington. Instead of just going, I'm going to go to Washington and do the job for our people because I represent the place I'm from. Instead of just complaining about the town like it's Hollywood or Manhattan or something like that, and just going there to do the damn job, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping that there's a few other people that are running. I'm hoping that we can win, and we can basically get us an apartment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm not going to Washington D.C. for the next 25 years. I don't want to be there the next 25 years.
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, I want to go to Washington D.C. I want to see if I can get things done, and if I get things done and I'm feeling like I'm doing the right thing, then I have no problem running for re-election.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. I have no desire to sit in gridlock for the next 10, 12, 20 years.
Right.
I don't want that. I think that there's a lot of things that we desperately need in this country. And I believe these are things that I absolutely have the ability to go and actually accomplish. I have been in a super minority, but I was still able to make West Virginia the 29th state to become legal for medical cannabis.
Right.
I was able to fight and stand with teachers, where we fought for 9 days and won all the teachers a 5% pay raise plus school service personnel. I got things done because I speak passionately about the things that I want to do. And there's a lot of things that I want to do that I know that if I get on the floor and I start speaking passionately about, even the Republicans that are in office, their constituents are going to be contacting them and saying, hey, look, you need to support this guy's bill.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you're not doing anything for your constituents, then there's no reason for you to be there. And I'm going to tell you, we've got people that are dug in like ticks. And, it's because they have all this money and they use insider trading to make just unlimited amounts of money. And we need to stop that. We need to stop the corruption in Washington, D.C. We got to stop allowing people to trade stocks. We got to stop allowing people to become lobbyists. Right now, you have to wait like 4 years before you can become a lobbyist. That is wrong. We should make it to where a member of Congress, will never be allowed to be a lobbyist. And I still believe in pushing legislation saying that we need to make lobbyists wear body cameras whenever you are speaking to a member of Congress. And I don't care if it's in aisle 5 of Walmart. If you get caught speaking to a member of Congress and you are a lobbyist and you don't have your body camera on, you will lose your ability to lobby, period. That's what needs to happen, because that's corruption.
I agree. I think that's one of the things, everybody talks about, you hear, first of all, let's start with what Republicans sell. Like I've said for a long time, that the Republican motto is, government can't do anything right, elect me and I'll prove it. And most of them, I don't, they run for election like a babysitter would try to get hired by saying, the first thing I hate is kids. I don't think kids should be allowed to do, to exist, much less do anything. And it's odd to me that, one of the things that, you're talking about going there and doing stuff and actually benefiting the people, like seeing gaps in support, gaps in opportunity for the people that you're in your district, and you go there and try to remedy those things and hope that it's not unique to your area, that it's nationwide, and these are the kind of things that working people need, that the average person needs to protect them and to help lift them up and give them a shot at the American dream. But when you talk about Republicans not going there and not doing anything, I got to tell you, that's part of their sales pitch. They literally, when you're saying that government is a failure or you're trying to fight big government or whatever, they can literally take a win from accomplishing nothing. It's one of the reasons why most of them don't draft any bills. It's one of the reasons why most of them don't present anything except to undo stuff that's working that they don't like on an ideological level. But they're not there to build or support or help. And their voters, I think, maybe by and large expect that. Like, go there and gum up the works.
Well, Richard Hudson has a reputation for never, ever putting boots on the ground here.
Mm-hmm.
I have been to quite a few districts, or not districts, but counties in my district.
Right.
And the people don't even know what he looks like. He's in Washington, D.C., and he's the chair of the NRCC. So he's up there, and he's raising money from billionaires and corporations to try to keep Republicans in power. That's what he does.
Yeah.
But when does he represent us? Because he doesn't. He doesn't put boots on the ground here. He doesn't show up down here.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, now he's going to have to. And when people see him, I want them to say, look, there's Richard Hudson. But we've never seen him, and he's running for his 8th term.
Right.
But we see him now because Richard Ojeda is on his ass, and he knows he's got to daggone get out here and do something. And I'm going to be honest with you. The things that I want to do are going to benefit people all across this country. I still catch all kinds of flack from West Virginians because I was a state senator, and then I left West Virginia. And they're like, oh, he left us. He abandoned us. I didn't abandon you. I actually got shit done when I was a state senator in a super minority. But I actually tried to represent the people of West Virginia on the national level. And they chose to elect a woman who is now running for her 5th term, and she's never done one single thing. She hasn't pushed her past, not any legislation whatsoever, because like you said, they go to Washington, D.C., and they just sit.
Yeah.
They don't push legislation. And if they do anything, it's, we want to name something after Trump.
Yeah.
That doesn't benefit people. It doesn't help. I want to make the first $45,000 that every single American makes to be tax-free. I want to tie minimum wage to the cost of living so that the price of groceries goes up. Minimum wage has to go up. And, either that will keep prices low or it will raise the minimum wage. And I don't want to hear people saying, oh, if you do that, it's just going to make it worse. It's going to make it. Let me tell you something. There are other places in this country where they have raised their minimum wage. And not only did it not hurt them, but it is actually helping businesses.
Right. So
that's where we're at, and that's where we need to be, and that's where I want to do.
Absolutely. It was funny to me that I think it was in Missouri, like Josh Hawley. One of the complaints that he had is that I think Kansas is one of the border states that raised their minimum wage, and that made it tough for people across the border into Kansas City, Missouri, because you could drive to a job that paid you better that was just blocks away. And instead of meeting that, they lost a bunch of business. They lost a bunch of employees. They lost businesses because the better employees went, I know what I'm doing. I'm worth the money you pay me, and somebody's willing to pay me more for the work that I'm doing. I'm going to go there, and it's blocks away. And that's the great evener. That's one of the things that I think a federal minimum wage, by keeping it like fundamentally low, it has created those kind of jockeying positions between some states where they have a tri-state area where all the workers that can get a better living move to technically like work in the other state right across the border. It actually could benefit all of the states, red and blue, to even that out and make it more normalized, right?
Absolutely, and it's not just when you're talking about those jobs. It's the same thing with education. When it becomes an $8,000 a year raise for you to jump from West Virginia over to Kentucky,
Hmm.
or a $10,000 a year raise if you jump from West Virginia to Ohio. That's the thing, is that, you know
Yeah.
what, when the other states are doing all these things for your people, but you're not, you cannot keep teachers.
Hmm.
North Carolina, I had no clue that I would move to North Carolina and find North Carolina is 49th in teacher pay and 50th in how much money we put towards each child.
Mm.
So you wonder why people in the border counties are jumping to the other areas. That's
Right.
why. Maybe if you raise the minimum wage, maybe if you raise the pay of teachers, you don't have to worry about losing your good teachers, especially those in the border counties. Because make no mistake about it, if they can jump over the line and get a better job, you're going to have a hard time finding people that teach science,
Hmm.
math, English, Spanish, because those are in high demand everywhere else.
That's right, and that's been the case. Like, and interestingly enough, the irony, I think, of Republican education reform in when we talk about the Department of Education, Trump and all of them. Like, remember Mitt Romney? I think that was the one he couldn't remember. He was going to shut down the Department of Education, and then Trump rolls in on the same ticket. And again, I have said this so many times lately, and we need to hang this albatross around Trump's neck that he is a typical Republican. There's nothing special about this guy. There's nothing magical. His war plan is straight out of PNAC. His tax plan was sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk for a decade. He signed off on basically the Republican wish list. It had nothing to do with some new good ideas that he was bringing in. And the issue is that you look at George W. Bush, for example, with his No Child Left Behind when they were starting that. Well, why did they start that? Because the blue states can afford to pay their teachers. The blue states can afford to spend more money on their students, and they have better outcomes, and those kids get better jobs, and they have better educations, and they have better living standards across the board. And the red states were being left behind by and large. Again, if we knocked 7 states out of the United States, 7 red states, America would be 4th in education in the world. We're 40th because of those states, because of those test scores, because how little they spend. And it's this. They go, we spend more on education than any other country in the world. Well, it's not evenly spent. And in the areas where they spend a lot, $19,000 to $26,000 per student, you get kids that are going to Ivy League schools and are starting businesses and becoming entrepreneurs and can do like high vocational jobs as well as high intellect jobs. But the red states get, they don't have the tax base for it. They don't, fund the schools. Therefore the kids don't get a good education. So you get this kind of like sprawling mall fast food, industry. Like the ceiling is the local, I don't know, fucking Arby's, and you can, trying to be manager, and it's just sad. And that the irony is, so anyway, so George W. Bush rolls in, and he's like, we need to find a way that Republicans will stomach federal dollars going to these red states to help them with these students, because they're not going to do it on their own, but they're complaining about the lack of resources. The reality is, you fight for what you're asking for. That's going to benefit students and teachers and families in states that can't stand you, that can't stand me, that can't stand Democrats entirely, but they will gain the benefits. And I think one of the great uses of your loud and proud voice will not just be, to speak passionately about the things that need to be done, but to speak passionately reminding people of the good that Democrats have made and done, and the kind of stuff we want to expand on, and why you want, a Department of Education should be run by a qualified person who believes that every student deserves a good education.
Yeah, I spent 4 years in the classroom at the high school level, and I'll be honest with you, I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher strike that we had in West Virginia, that we won, by the way, after 9 days of fighting. Teachers deserved a pay raise. So did school service personnel. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
still behind,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that we need to do. The whole thing of every child graduates. Instead of allowing teachers to inspire children, which is what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
we've now made them do nothing more than teach an exam so that they can, pass that exam, and then everybody can stand around and beat each other on the chest and say, congratulations, we had 100% pass rate. We caught a kid in the first 2 weeks of high school. He was a senior selling drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and we kicked him out of school.
Right.
Done. You're expelled. A year goes by, and it's graduation day. And I'm walking down the hallway because we got all the seniors lined all the way down the hall. They're getting ready to walk into the auditorium and they're going to graduate. And I'm shaking every hand. Uh, and all of a sudden, I get to a guy and I look and I'm like, holy smokes, that's the guy that we expelled.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to the principal and said, what the hell is this? We kicked him out for drugs. She said, everybody graduates. I mean, look, we have a lot of problems in education. If I make it to Washington, D.C., I'm going to sign on to Bernie Sanders' bill that says we should not allow a teacher in the United States of America to teach and start them out at less than $65,000 a year. And imagine if we were able to succeed and get that. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
We've got all the money in the world for war.
Right.
We always have the ability to find money for bombs. But why can't we change that mentality and say, we're going to find all the money that we need and we're going to start paying teachers the salaries that they deserve, because the most important person in this damn country is an educated child.
Right.
And that's what we have to do. And that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to elevate people's lives. And I just it kills me.
Right.
Because, I love to travel, and I know you like to travel and stuff. And we have people that live all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing when you have a conversation with these people and you can tell how wonderful their education systems are, because it has produced those people that we're really close with, and they know their history, and they're amazing. And it's like, you come from places where you and I come from,
right.
Eastern Kentucky and
right.
Southern West Virginia. And you're realizing that, like, we literally aren't doing jack shit to try to elevate our children out of poverty.
Yeah.
And then we got these politicians that show up and like you said, the Republicans show up and promise the world, but then they disappear and you hear nothing from them. And the sad part about it is that's par for the course, and these people still reelect these people. What the hell?
Well, there are a couple of things about like the education system that my grandfather was a college professor, and then he became president of Murray State University in Kentucky, right? And Dry County, Kentucky, like footloose town, right? And my grandmother was a librarian, so education was very important in our family. My dad was the black sheep of the family because he chose to be an architect, which is nuts, instead of a teacher. My aunt Susan, who passed away, has a math wing named after her at Sayersville College in Kentucky. So obviously this is something that's, the proudest shirt I had was when my dad went to MIT and brought me back a kid's size t-shirt that I could wear all the time to pretend to be smarter than I was. I wore it like the scarecrow's diploma. But I would look at the kids around me, and I knew when I was 14 years old, I would have rather probably just stayed living with my mom. But I knew the town I was in, the school I was in, the situation I was in was a dead end. And I watched it just dim the lights in the eyes of the kids that I was surrounded by. Had I not had a family full of people who valued education, I might not have noticed as starkly as I did when I was growing up there. And it's still a tragedy to this day. I will say that, like, between Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky has really pushed, at least college education, mainly about sports, but we'll take what we can get. But the real, I think the most important thing you said was, like, just educating children and giving them a shot at rising to their absolute best. It should be the primary thing. Maybe we just need a war analogy for the Republicans. Like, let's nuke ignorance. Maybe they'll get behind that. Maybe we need to strafe bomb ignorance at this point, because it's the only thing they prioritize. You look at Trump, and I think he's hostile to the military for a couple of reasons. One is because it's a constant reminder of what a coward he is, but also he looks at it as a way for poor people to get an education and respect. And he views those people, they should stay in the crab bucket, and he can just shake it every so often. And 2008 every 10 years, so we just wreck everybody and they can just be stuck, and he'll get a head start, because there's no way Eric and Don could compete with the average teenager if they had the same access to an education or that outlet. So we go, and that brings us, I guess, to some degree to what's going on in Iran, and like the absolutely horrid situation that we find ourselves in because Donald Trump has decided that he can kill three birds with one stone. He can hide the Epstein files. He can hide the fact that his tariffs did not pull in a bunch of money and move us away from the income tax, and that the debt has continued to go up. He hasn't done any of that stuff. The Doge thing was a complete failure, and it's affecting the economy. Prices are still going up, and so you can blame it on the war now. Now he and a bunch of his like rich corporate buddies like Adelson and those guys, they can all just say, well, things would be cheaper and his plan would be great, but we have this whole Iran thing that we have to do, and they'll just hang it on that. But do you think the voters are buying it?
Well, what bothers me is that, and I don't care to say it, we're the bad guys. We are the bad guys. You don't bomb a school and kill 170 children. And then you don't bomb a facility that is used to remove the salt from the water so people can have clean drinking water. You also don't cut everything off, which is what's going on in Cuba right now. And Donald Trump and them are laughing about it because they're like, yeah, that's going to be us. Let me tell you, listen up, listen to what I'm saying. So Donald Trump is now saying that he's going to probably be the one that's going to take Cuba. So listen, America, because I think this is great. If Donald Trump takes Cuba, does that mean we can now let all those Cubans come to America and get a chance at living in the United States of America? Because a lot of them would love that. Is that what you want? Is that what you really want there, Trump supporters? For all those Cuban people to finally have the ability to legally just come to the United States of America because they're going to be a part of us now. Yay!
Yeah, like Venezuela, right?
Is that what you want? Exactly.
Oh, you can see the flop sweat on Tucker Carlson's forehead now that when Trump starts talking about, he said Venezuela, 51st, like statehood number 51. Like, do you think the Fuentes crowd, considering his last name, the irony, there we go. But it was like this was on the dance card. This, that Venezuela is going to be the 51st state. Believe me, they were kind of okay with Canada because they're by and large white. I think they were okay with that part of it, right? Or Greenland even. But when you start talking about Venezuela and Cuba, now I personally think that the Cuba thing, much like the Venezuela thing, is actually going to be his excuse for deportations, and not just deportations, but denaturalization. So part of his tax on naturalized citizens and his, trying to get rid of the ability to have anchor babies and that kind of stuff that he's been fighting. One of the reasons that is listen to how he talks about the Cubans in his beloved Florida. He wants them to go back. A lot of them would rather just go back. If you hear him talk about it, they'd rather just go there. So the idea is that we'll topple the government and then we'll shove all these people back into that. And like, that's not how it's going to work.
And Cuba actually in Florida is the group that is the most deported right now. So yes, exactly. So I mean it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But once again, we're the bad guys. And I want to say this. There is no excuse. You cannot say, well, we had our maps were old maps.
Right.
You don't bomb places when you don't have the right maps. Because as a person who spent 24 years in the military, I'm telling you, you don't move forward on anything. You don't put together a kinetic strike package unless you have everything in a row. Because when you finally pull the trigger on that, you own it.
Yeah.
And once again, you killed 170 children going to school. We're the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit what anybody has to say. That is wrong. And once again, this is Donald Trump willing to commit us to war because Donald Trump does not want everybody to get the facts that he raped children. We know he raped children. He's all over the Epstein files. But Donald Trump doesn't want the proof to actually come out. And that's exactly what this is. It's unacceptable. We are losing our country because of a buffoon and because of the enablers around him that know that they're going to go down with him.
Yeah, I think he's planning a big. He or JD Vance are already planning the pardon package, and you watch for it. Like most presidents, if there's a questionable one that might hang on their legacy, or they think it's a little iffy, but they do feel like they should do it or whatever, a lot of times, or it's a friend or a family member or something, they'll do it at the tail end, right? They'll do it on their way out the door. Watch for Trump to start doing these things regularly over the next year. He's already done it with some military vets who did violent acts and killed civilians and that kind of stuff, and that's in line with what Hegseth is doing. So one of the things I think was a red flag for a lot of us, besides the fact that Hegseth is a drunk, is a dry drunk, effectively running the Department of Defense, is that he was big on removing all the rules of engagement. And you can't come out and say we're not going to have politically correct wars. We're going to maximum lethality. And what that says to me, and I'm sure you heard it the same way, is that we don't give a shit about civilian deaths. Wherever we're fighting, we're just killing the other people, whether they're armed or not. It doesn't matter. And
no quarter given.
Right.
No quarter given.
Yeah.
That right there is a war crime.
Yep.
Period. And oh, by the way, this is the guy that ran the victory laps after they bombed a boat in the Caribbean and then went back and shot a second, third, and fourth volley, killing 2 people that were hanging on to rubble. And the thing about it is Pete Hegseth was acting like he was the one that killed the boat until they said, that's a war crime.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, I wasn't actually in the room. It was the admiral, but I totally support him wholeheartedly. I mean, this is the buffoonery that we have. This guy is leading our military. And I'm going to tell you, another reason why I really want to make it to Washington, D.C. is I want to sit on that daggone committee when all those general officers are in that room. Because I want to ask them, tell me something. Why did you sit silent when General Brown was schwacked by Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth? What did he do that caused him to be schwacked? Because he was the most qualified man for that job. What he did, and the reason why he was canned, was because he was born a person of color.
Right.
And that's why they schwacked him. And that's why the very next day they got rid of the woman that was over top of the Coast Guard. Because Pete Hegseth is a sexist, pig, racist jackaloon.
Yeah, no question. And again, more than anything else, this is why Democrats have to take the House and the Senate this year, and there's just got to be a flood. We need a blue tsunami more than ever before, and I think at least the reality of the circumstance might bring some of the coin flippers and the couch sitters, back out, who sat it out under Kamala. And I have to say, every day I am more and more aggravated by the idea that this is she would have done this, or that we would be in any of these situations if Harris had been the president of the United States right now. We would not. We would have a lower interest rate. We would have a lower grocery costs would be going down in a realistic way. Businesses would be thriving. You wouldn't have like a record of farm bankruptcies for small farms who are there's a myriad.
Continued. She would have continued with the great economy that Joe Biden left her.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, within 4 months, crashed it, and it's been going south ever since. And I don't understand. Why do we still have so many people that are okay with this buffoonery? I mean, this is not going to end well. And now, we are going to take back the power. We're going to take it back. Because we have to, and because enough people in this country are realizing that.
Yes.
And I'm telling you right now, like for my race, I'm going to tell you, unaffiliated, there's more unaffiliated voters in North Carolina than there are Republicans and Democrats. Right. And I'm going to tell you that what just happened in this primary election, and this wasn't my race. We've got a guy in North Carolina by the name of Phil Berger, and he is a real shit stain, right? And he wants his family to be a part of politics, and North Carolina is the only state in the country that still has not passed a budget.
Right.
So the unaffiliated voters decided, and this was in my district. I actually have a part of a place called Guilford County, and we lost Guilford County. But we lost Guilford County. One of the reasons why we feel that we lost it is because a lot of the unaffiliated voters that would have normally voted for me actually voted on the Republican primary to vote against Phil Berger.
Right.
And Phil Berger on election night lost by 2 votes.
Yeah.
And now they're doing recounts, and now it's grown to something like 40 some votes. So, that's awesome. But in the next election, for the general election, the greatest thing for us is that we have Roy Cooper. And Roy Cooper's the most loved politician in North Carolina. He's never lost a race, and he's running for U.S. Senate. And we believe he's going to help us take back the Senate. So people are going to vote on the blue ticket because they want to vote for Roy Cooper because he is an awesome man. Below him is Justice Anita Earls. We now realize how important our courts are. And everybody should know that. So they're going to vote for her. And beneath her name is Richard Ojeda for Congress. And I'm hoping that those people that vote for those two are going to cast their vote for me and keep on going down. And we're going to see finally a blue wave in North Carolina like we've seen pretty much all across the country.
That's
right now, we are like 28-0. There's been 28 red seats that have flipped to blue and 0 blue seats that have flipped to red. So let's keep it going.
I've been saying about the DNC, they got one job. Red district's purple, purple district's blue. And if you can jump from red to blue, even better. Nobody gets credit for a blue district bluer. It's not this is not the time for like infighting, and the proof is in what's happening on the right. The infighting that is going on there is extraordinary. I can't imagine any of these people thought that in a year into Donald Trump's second term, that the biggest civil war that would be going on would be maggot on maggot or maggot on rhino or vice versa. In this, there's a top MAGA pollster. This is from Daily Beast, who's warning that President Donald Trump's base is shrinking and that it will have disastrous impact on Republicans in the 2026 in the midterm elections. Republicans are largely expected to lose control of the House come November, and some polls show that the Senate may also be in play for the Democrats as well. In addition to that, Richard Barris of Big Data Polls, a pro-Trump pollster, is warning that Trump's MAGA base is falling apart. He goes, we've got affordability. There's economic things to consider. Most people just care about how much money they have in their wallet at the end of the month. He's a co-host he was on the Charlie Kirk show, or what is the artist formerly known as the Charlie Kirk show. And the host said, is there any good news for the midterms? And he goes, well, you said stay positive. What am I, positive? Look, I'm just not. I tried to scream and yell for almost a year now how to fix 2026. There's roughly an 18% chance historically that Republicans could turn it around. I would give it less than that. His Colvett then pointed to a generic poll that had Democrats with a 7-point lead over Republicans in a generic 2026 congressional ballot in February. That's without the footwork and the legwork that you're doing and other candidates, other Democrats who are actually pounding the pavement and shaking hands and actually telling the story. Making it clear that there is a remarkable difference between the two parties, and one is just a death cult at this point. It's bizarre. He goes, we're also seeing a bit of widening out again. He's adding that Republicans have to chase the vote, that Trump will not be on the ballot, but the split is happening. The idea was that if he's on the ballot, it would tighten the base and they'll come out because it's Trump, right? But he's not. Yeah. So it normally lets go, it widens out a little bit. And that's why oftentimes a candidate will, a president will lose the midterms. Well, in this case, his involvement is widening the gap even more. The more he opens his mouth, the more the maggots are like, screw this, I'm staying home.
It's getting worse and worse every single day. And that's the thing, is that we have to capitalize. Look at Lindsey Graham, Mr. Warhawk here. And now he's in trouble. And once again, he's literally telling him, he literally said that he's going to go back to South Carolina and tell the parents that they need to send their children to go fight in Iran. And I'm going to tell you another thing too. I despise Lindsey Graham. One of my favorite things I've ever done in my life was call him an asshole to his face
right.
on the airport in Raleigh.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you that, people are starting to wake up, and these guys are going to have a hard time. This is another reason why, I think it's important. Lindsey Graham literally saying, we're going to take Iran and we're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because that's all he cares about is the money. He doesn't understand. And it bothers me because Lindsey Graham has a Bronze Star. Lindsey Graham went to Iraq and spent like 2 weeks in Iraq. And if you think he went to Iraq and did a job, you're deeply misinformed. He went to Iraq as a JAG officer, and they treated him like a state senator, not a state senator, but like a U.S. senator, and they wooed him and took him around with the generals, and they rubbed shoulders and stuff like that. And on his way home, they gave him a Bronze Star. This guy doesn't deserve anything like that. He didn't earn it. And at the end of the day, he is nothing. He is horrible. And he is willing to commit American lives so that he can make money. And we got to get rid of these people.
Yeah,
We got to get rid of them.
I don't know if you saw Besant when he was giving an interview on a podcast or whatever, and then he was called away to the Situation Room. And in the beginning of it, he was just talking economics and selling Trump's BS and doing what he normally does. And he was pretty, they send him out because he's way better than Navarro, who's a maniac, and Nutlick, who is all over the Epstein files too. And there's more of that stuff to come out. Don't think for a second there isn't more Nutlick stuff coming out in that. But he came back from that. He went to the Situation Room for like an hour, hour and a half. And when he came back, he was rigid and shaky and stammery. But one of the first things out of his mouth was, "I have a teenager, and I would trust, Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump with their lives if they had to go boots on the ground." That statement from Lindsey Graham, I'm fairly certain Lindsey Graham was in the Situation Room when that happened, and he said the same thing. That is the message. So they are tipping us towards, well, if we're gonna have to have some boots on the ground, whether it's a full force or not, to clean up the rest of the regime or assassinate some leaders or clear out some stuff with the Israelis or by ourselves, and that was what the powwow was about. That's what they discussed. Was how do we sell boots on the ground?
Yeah, I honestly think that if you are a member of Congress and you vote for war, every single fighting age person that you have in your family should have to be made to serve. And I ain't talking about being no damn JAG officer. I'm talking about infantry or combat engineer, because those are the two jobs where you're going to guarantee you're going to see some action. And, that's the way it should be. I mean, these are people that are willing to send your sons to war, but they won't send theirs. You're not going to see these billionaire children, at the MEPS recruiting station. And that's a problem. These are the people that are out here trying to wage war, and they're the ones that are going to benefit from this war, especially these billionaire folks. At the minimum, if you're going to commit American forces to combat, you should be willing to send your children to combat.
Agreed. Well, one of the things that I think that has been a slow push, maybe post-Iraq, or at least the decision to go into Iraq, is that you saw more military Republicans, like people who had served either in Iraq or Afghanistan, serving in that. And the subtle conversation that happened about no new wars, no more regime change, no foreign wars, America first, part of that was born out of the mistake of Iraq specifically. Was that this was obviously, something to make Halliburton rich, and it was part of this PNAC 7-country knockdown that they were going to do that Wesley Clark talked about, which, by the way, Donald Trump is finishing. Like, he's doing all those things. Syria and Iran are the ones that he's left to clean up. And Sudan's just a bloodbath, so they don't care anymore. But in that list of 7 countries, Iran was the crown jewel. And that's why all these guys are, Lindsey Graham especially, who was one of the big PNAC guys, is blowing smoke up his ass and wanting him to do this. But make no mistake, it's Donald Trump's, he's not being hypnotized. He's making these decisions. He may have, gelatin for brains, but it's his fault, his decision. But I do think there are a bunch of Republicans, part of why they elected, besides just, hero worship and respect, and they're kind of glomming onto the military like they do with sports stars, is that they're expecting, at least, that these people know that you don't start a war that you can't finish, or that you don't have a good reason for, or that isn't honorable, or that you're not going to act honorably in. And so they figure, okay, that person served, they know how it's going. And in the same way we felt about like John Kerry or somebody who, how do you ask somebody to be the last person to die for a lie? They were kind of doing that in their own subtle way. And I think this blowback around the war that MAGA is experiencing right now is like, I guess, something that the vast majority of them just assumed wouldn't happen. They were just going to assume that, military guys are just jingoistic and can't wait to go kill somebody. And Trump certainly thinks that. He thinks about military guys like he thinks about coal miners. I could give them a suite at the Ritz to live in, but they'd rather be underground sucking up coal dust and getting tuberculosis and black lung, right? They just love it. That's just who they are. It's in their genes. They're born to be stupid fodder. And I think he thinks the same about the military. Right.
They listen to this garbage.
Yeah.
And they believe it because they want to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is it's still garbage. You know, recently in West Virginia, they got rid of another 500 coal jobs. And oh, by the way, they even said these jobs are not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of actually finally looking and going, okay, well, now that we see these jobs disappearing, we've got to figure out what we can do to try to help these people. They're going to double down on it.
Right.
You know, all the legislators are still, we're going to continue fighting for coal. You could put windmills on the top of all those mountains that you've cut the tops off with mountaintop removal, and you could literally power the state of West Virginia with wind.
Yeah.
But instead, you're going to continue doing jack shit and letting these people struggle. I mean, I just don't understand it. It amazes me how we have so many people in this country. But once again, this is why they've been attacking the education system since the 70s.
Yeah.
Because poorly educated people are easily duped, and easily duped people believe Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in the case of West Virginia, you've got all these coal miner families have been there, and there's a history of it, and they get bullshitted into this idea that that's where your meaning comes from, is the fact that you do this awful job. There's a lot of awful jobs that went the way of the dodo and should never come back, and coal mining is one of them, right?
Let's see.
I understand. Got very excited. Yeah, right. But like West Virginia is one of those countries where, or one of those states where the countryside is conducive to like tourism and nice homes and communities. It's a good place to materially live. It's a very it's a lot of windy roads, kind of like the hills of Kentucky. It's a nice place to live and build a town. And in the modern age where you can, work remotely, or you can, start a business wherever the hell you are, West Virginia could be one of those states. It could be one of those kind of, incorporated personal business states where people just start their own business and grow it out of there, but they just want to keep this coal lid on top of it. Because I really do think it's a eugenics level contempt for poor people. The idea that they are genetically poor because they are genetically stupid, because they are bad stock white trash, and nobody gives a shit if they die. So they take what little honor they can find by doing a hard job that other people don't want to do, and then they use that as a weapon against those folks.
Yeah. You work 16-hour days, 6 days a week. Wow, that's great. But I'm going to tell you, this is what's really going on too. Because like you said, in the southern part of West Virginia, very, very mountainous. I mean, I grew up in that. You did the same way, Eastern Kentucky. But what's going on right now, and it's been going on for a while, is you've got these people that have come in and have bought large swaths of land. And what they're doing is they're building all these beautiful cabins all over southern West Virginia. We have the thing called the Hatfield-McCoy's Trail System.
Yeah.
And understand that we got people from all over the world that comes there every year and rides all over. And I mean, we're talking about you can get on a trail in Logan County, West Virginia, and you can ride the mountains all the way to Mercer County, in Lewisburg and places like that. And it's beautiful. But I'm going to tell you, like right now with all these cuts that we see that are taking place. See, this has been going on for a long time, probably the last 20-some years. Now, these cuts that are taking place to Medicaid and Medicare and stuff like that, those are going to cause your hospitals to close down. And I'm telling you, that is what's going on right now. Right now, where I grew up, that hospital where I grew up, it's already said it's on the chopping block.
Right.
And if that hospital closes, every single person that lives in that area is going that relies on healthcare is going to have to move and go closer to healthcare. So what's going to happen is if you can move, you're going to move. And if you can't, you're not going to be able to. And I'm going to tell you, it's only a matter of time before these people in power basically just say it's time to get rid of these people. Get rid of them so that we can turn southern West Virginia into nothing more than a place where people can come and ride through the mountains, and they're going to make millions upon billions of dollars for this. I mean, they literally blocked off a huge area of land, and they brought elk. they brought elk,
Mm-hmm.
and they released these. And oh, by the way, it's been horrible. You know, we've had
Right.
cars hit
Sure.
elks on the daggone highways, and elks are not scared of you. They're not scared of you at
No.
all. But once again, they did this, and it completely got rid of all. If there was a coal mine in that area, sorry, closed down, because this area is about elk, so that these people that spend money to come here to ride the trails can see elk when they're driving their four-wheelers and stuff like that.
Or hunt
But
them
it's
and pare them
not
down.
good for the people.
No, it isn't.
Yep, not good for the people. Not good for the people.
And by buying up the land in these giant, like, kind of, you know, tract areas, either rental properties or these kind of things, they're not, the people who work in the coal mines and the people that, those families are not going to get jobs working around that area. They're just a different caste, and it's the, you know, the northern part of the state is just going to be the forgotten wasteland of coal. And they're just counting on it. I mean, there's this idea eventually, you know, Eastern Kentucky, especially in the Appalachia area, has been a, you know, like, where there's a cancer cluster all through Louisiana. There is a mentally challenged cluster all through Appalachia. And it is not natural. It is not inbreeding. It is not a bunch of rednecks who are just born dumb. It isn't that at all. It's that the coal waste from West Virginia and the northern parts of Eastern Kentucky in that area get into the water, and everybody who drinks it eventually gives birth to a child with birth defects or learning deficiencies or bad impulse control, where they start using drugs and then they bake what's left of their brain. Eastern Tennessee has the exact same problem, and it's all pollution. It's just people drinking polluted stuff.
And there's no such thing as living off the land anymore, because you can't eat the fish because of the mercury levels.
Right.
And all this stuff. So, you know, when you think about, oh, this is God's country, it's poisoned. They have these corporations that you have pumped up, like the coal mines, have done nothing but poison the water. And I know this for a fact. You know, I know that there was a guy, he ran for president a couple of times. His name was Blankenship. And he ran for Congress. He ran for the president. Let me tell you something. This guy's coal operation poisoned the water in the town of Matewan. But he had a private water line ran to his house, so he could have clean water.
Right.
But the rest of those people had to wash their asses with bottled water, because that's the way this is. And what they would do is they would call the locks and dams people, and they would say, at 3 o'clock today, I need you to open up the dam and start sending lots of water down this way. Because what they would do is they would dump all their stuff in the water. And they had them release the water to push it through. There's photographs that people have where the water in West Virginia going down the river is as dark red as it gets. And it's poison. But once again, send the water through to wash it down away to somebody else. That's the mentality.
Right.
And it's killing these places.
It has been.
And, you know,
forever. And here's the interesting thing about coal specifically is not unlike when oil is extracted. They'll often take like the toxins in an oil well and from the other oil wells, and they'll pump it down a dead well and just leave it there. And if it's not near an aquifer, the earth has a lot of offal in it anyways, uranium and all kinds of stuff, and lead and mercury naturally occurs in there. And so it kind of seals it in the oil well. It's a lot of times in Alaska they do it, and it's a crime because it does seep out into the water. It gets out in, you know, in the groundwater. But with a coal mine, that's never the case. You stop digging this stuff, it stops promulgating. The dust stops coming out because you're not digging in there anymore. It's just a cave now. And so if they just left it, in a generation or two, the pollution would stop. And we were getting to a point where we were shifting away from coal and we were moving towards more renewables. And you would have seen in probably 15 years, even without a big Superfund cleanup, the water clearing and the people downstream getting healthier and all that stuff. And Donald Trump rolls in after Obama and Biden, and obviously Harris would have continued this as well, like shifting our environmental focus towards renewables that don't cause us. Yeah, that's right. Oh, it's now dig we must. I don't know if you heard that the other day, where he couldn't remember drill baby drill.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I want to read this because it's
yeah.
funny we were talking about this. The modern oil industry began in 1859.
Hmm.
In barely 160 years, we reorganized the entire world around a substance that poisons the land where it is found,
Hmm.
poisons the air when it is burned, and poisons the oceans when it spills. And we still can't stop, not until every last drop of oil is used. And then we'll figure out what we can use next.
Right.
Sad.
Well, I will say that right now, I'm named after a computer, so I'm very tech positive in a lot of ways. And there are advances happening all the time in the United States, and we certainly had these advances in electric vehicles and these kind of things. And certainly Northern Europe, especially, is focusing on this. There's a company called Donut Labs that has come up with a solid state battery, doesn't use lithium, recharges to full charge in like faster than you could fill your car with gas. They have prototyped it, and it is already in these motorcycles, these Verve motorcycles. But they're going to move it. This is going to be the switch for cars, and in a matter of a couple of years, that will be the most efficient, cheapest, and smartest way you could power a vehicle to go 400 miles. And right now, that's about what a gas car does, and you'll charge it up just as fast. So if not faster. So you roll into some place and power up your car again, and you're off again for another one, while the gas car is still standing there while somebody's having to nurse that pump for whatever 10 minutes. That's happening anyways. That's the most frustrating part, is that we are having advances and we are moving in this direction. And there is a generalized, even amongst maggots, like so many of them drive Teslas and stuff and don't understand the irony of that, because they're doing it out of being a fanboy, but not, understanding that they're also off the grid. In a place like West Virginia, North Carolina, you could go, look, renewables are your way of being off the grid and a homesteader and having more autonomy. You don't have to, if you had an oil well in your backyard, you could not dig it up and turn it into gasoline. You just couldn't. You could not power a car with it. You'd have to get it refined and processed, and you don't have the power to do that. But solar panels and a battery system, and your car is charged anytime you want for as long as it works. And that's years and years and years and years and years. That is autonomy. That is freedom. And I really do think that one of the reasons why Trump and his crowd want us lashed to oil is because it's a guaranteed extraction. It's the same thing as pharmaceuticals. If you have to be on a pill all the time, you got to go to the guy with the pill. And if you got to fill your car with oil, the guys with oil control your life. And if you can find a renewable way or a natural way to heal or something that cures the disease instead of treats it, you don't need them anymore. And they can't extract your worth of your labor from you. And that's where we are. Trump and his buddies. And again, I wish he was, people always talk about what a maverick or how different and special and he's a businessman and blah, blah, blah. This is the same shit as the Bushes. They were oil people in Texas. They were very responsible for our like continued use of oil. And would have been if Bush 1 had stayed on for 2 terms, and certainly Bush 2 was all about securing oil in the Middle East, that we were all standing out there going, no war for oil. And then they go and the Republicans elect a dude who's like, we should keep the oil. If we're going to attack a place, we should keep the oil. It's like, no, we shouldn't. We don't need the resource curse any more than they do. The sooner humanity moves on from this garbage, the sooner we all live, and breathe and drink water that's safer.
Because they don't care.
Right.
They don't care about us. They don't care about the future of our children.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. And that's one of the reasons why this is so important for us to take back take back politics, take back the executive branch, take back the House and the Senate, and then we got a lot of work that we're going to have to do, and it's not going to be easy work, but it's a shame that we are where we are, and good Lord, I mean, I'm busting my butt, brother. I'm going nonstop. I'm doing everything that I can, and I'm fighting battles that I shouldn't have to be fighting right now. But it is what it is. But I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to ask everybody that hears my voice, please go to ojedafornc.com and donate to my campaign, because I'm going to tell you, I can win this. And if I win this, I'm going to push things in Washington, D.C. that's going to benefit people all across this country. That is a fact. This isn't just about Richard Ojeda winning a seat in North Carolina. The things that I want to do are going to elevate people's lives across America. And that's why this is important. And that's why it means a lot for people to support me. My opponent, Richard Hudson, does not do anything except basically share Donald Trump talking points. And we're past that. I'm done with this. I'm done with this buffoon. I'm done with this buffoon who's trying to commit our children to friggin' war. Because why? Because he does not want people to get the proof that shows that he raped children. Donald Trump raped children. And he needs to be held accountable for that. And everybody that participated needs to be held accountable for that. And that's why we're now getting ready to invade and put boots on the ground in Iran. Because whatever we can do to keep people's eyes over here so they're not looking at Donald Trump over here in the records that showed he diddled a bunch of kids.
Well,
and his friends.
Right. Well, and those friends are in his cabinet. Look, it'd be one thing, it'd be bad enough. And there was once a day where a president was impeached over a consensual sexual act that was outside of his marriage and none of our business, with an adult girl that was that they were enamored of each other, at least temporarily. And again, something that, if you're going to compare that behavior on any scale with what Donald Trump engaged in with Jeffrey Epstein, the only person to ever do an article talking about how awesome Jeffrey Epstein is was Donald Trump. And then he fills his cabinet. He doesn't just show up himself and go, "Oh crap, I knew that guy. I probably should distance myself as much as possible." He makes Acosta, Alex Acosta, his labor secretary, is basically a no-show cush government job that he's not qualified for, because that's the guy that gave the sweetheart deal to Epstein. He brings in,
the
Howard
22-year-old, the 22-year-old by the name of Fugate, that's in charge of making sure that we don't get hit with terrorism. A kid that was a golf course, a grant landscaper, and a clerk at the grocery store. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This is what this is. And good Lord, I hope that people are waking up. I hope that people realize that we got to get past this. We got to get past this. We got to get this buffoon out. Bill Clinton was impeached because he received a BJ. Donald Trump is literally being untouched, and we already know that he screwed around on his wives with a porn star. He paid her hush money, but we know that he's all in these files with the Epsteins. So if a Democrat does something, when Al Franken did a photograph of him, not even touching the woman's chest, but just doing this in front of her while she was sleeping, and while he had to resign because that was a mark on the Senate. But yet they don't say nothing about the things that Donald Trump has done, and we have proof that he has done. That is why I don't understand. Our country is literally mentally deranged because we have people that are still supporting this guy when if anybody had anything at all inside them, they would not tolerate this.
Well, I will say that one of the things that gives me hope every day is that I watch, as part of my job currently, the collapse of his support amongst his supporters, that there are those people. And by and large, it started about the Epstein files. A lot of them are, doubling down because Iran is the last straw, apparently. But they were already gone. They were already gone with the Epstein stuff. They were, last July, there was a weird shock moment for all of them with that Pam Bondi thing, that unsigned memo. And then there was this cascade. And you can track the decline in his numbers from that day where he was like, I don't need your help anyways. You're not even really MAGA if you keep asking me about Jeffrey Epstein. Are you still asking about Jeffrey Epstein? Right? When that started, they a big chunk of them just decided, like I said, they're not going to come our way. But look, Marjorie Taylor Greene was the canary in the coal mine. And granted, one of the reasons I think she quit was because I do think there's going to be a change in what you can invest in and what you're allowed to do as a member of Congress. And she made $20 million while she was in Congress. So she's feathered her nest the entire time she was there. And I mean, it's like Paul Ryan. He didn't leave because he finally found ethics and morals and was disgusted by the people around him. He made sure that tax cut got passed, and then he left to benefit. He went to, like, he knows that code because he helped write it. And so he went home with a book full of loopholes under his arm to start, running his businesses and joining, basically becoming a lobbyist by joining Fox News. So, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, again, the idea that she's some sort of like dark horse hero in this is nonsense, because literally she's getting out while the getting's good.
Yeah.
But she is, in terms of the resonance that she's having, and she does seem to be a true believer in that QAnon stuff, and that led her inexorably, if you allow yourself, if you believed in QAnon and Pizzagate and all that kind of stuff, the evidence all points to Trump. That, as, and at a certain point, you have to go, all right, is the guy who was closest to him not being blackmailed? The only reason he wouldn't be blackmailed directly by Jeffrey Epstein is because he was a fellow traveler. He was a participant in the scheme itself. That he was a partner in this, not just another client, not just another hanger-on like Les Wexner and Leon Black and these guys. But he learned from Roy Cohn and Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were thick as thieves in the mid-'80s. Yep. And he stuck with it. And like I said, I don't believe these people are ever going to come to, to care about the average person and the struggle they go through. It's just not going to happen. But if they beat feet and go home this election cycle because they've realized that Donald Trump is a pedo protector and has participated in some of the most awful crimes that a human can do, short of murder, I'll take it, right? And then Iran, and this is it. So I got to say, like, as you've served in the military, and I'll let you go because I appreciate you hanging around for the extra time. And I'm sorry we had to get started late. But in terms of Iran, this whole idea that it's an in and out like Venezuela, or that it's only a couple of weeks or 6 weeks or whatnot. You've served in the military. You know what it means to like open up a can of worms and have to shut it. In these terms, and the language they always say about just 2 more weeks, or in the case of Iraq and Afghanistan, 1 more month. How do you see this playing out? Like, where do you, not in best case scenario how it should, but what do you think they've walked into?
I think that what Iran is like much larger than Afghanistan. Iran has very, very mountainous terrain. And once again, this is a forever war. This is another you put boots on the ground, make no mistake about it, Halliburton, Brown and Root, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, they're going to be loving life. And that's what they want. They love it when we are in nonstop continuous war, because those are the real winners when all this stuff happens. And we will lose people. That's what's going to happen. And it is the worst thing that we could possibly do. And it is going to cost Americans their lives. And they don't give a shit. Donald Trump and them don't care. Because Donald Trump doesn't really care about the average American. Donald Trump would much rather have the military-industrial complex in his back pocket and figuring out how he can also wet his beak from this type of stuff. Because make no mistake about it, Donald Trump always has to make sure that he gets his beak wet.
I agree. A lot has been said about how we're doing this because of Israel and the right. That seems to be their focus, and I would argue that it's his partnership with the Saudis and UAE and his son's businesses and crypto and World Liberty Financial and all that kind of stuff, which is all through Dubai and all those areas, that ultimately getting rid of Iran takes the glass ceiling off of what they could do as far as it eliminates that constant threat that has muted investment in that area, and they're having to transition away from oil. The irony, but time scale. Day before yesterday, maybe the guy who is the head researcher at Glenn Beck's show on the Blaze dropped an egg on Glenn's desk that I don't think he was expecting, because that guy served in the military. He was, he fought in Afghanistan, I think, and I think Glenn Beck hired him largely as like a hero sucker. Like he was like, I want to beat my chest that I have, vets serving on my thing. That's literally why I hired him. But the guy said, he goes, this is a year minimum. This is a year. And then when Glenn Beck's eyes widened, he went 6 months to a year. Like he kind of tried to walk it back in fiction land. But he was speaking from a combat veteran's point of view, who'd been in this kind of a reality before, knew what kinetic warfare was actually like. And I'm sure that just like Russia thought this was, Ukraine was going to take 6 days, they thought the same shit that Trump thinks about Iran.
What are the objectives? Why are we not hearing what the objectives are?
Mm-hmm.
This is, I'm telling you right now, you put boots on the ground in Iran, it's going to be years. It's going to be another one of these damn forever wars. Mm-hmm. And, I don't understand. Sometimes I'm like, maybe this is it. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the way that we go out. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, I cannot believe that we literally are going to lose the greatest democracy on the face of the earth because we continue to elect buffoons. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump in his first 4 years was a buffoon. Mm-hmm. And how he got elected, and I still believe that there was a lot of cheating. I think Elon Musk. But once again, why is it that if an average person breaks the law, they'll put them under the prison? But yet we've got people like Elon Musk that they now are saying absolutely participated in stealing elections all over the world.
Yeah.
When is somebody going to snatch his ass up and hold him accountable? Mm-hmm. I'm just so sick and tired of watching these people because we realize, you know what? We always were told nobody's above the law. Mm-hmm. That's a lie. That's a lie. If you are wealthy, you're above the law.
Well, and
if you're in a certain circle, you're above the law.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what that's how they want it run. Like, I think the other thing too is that you do have two groups of people right now. Whatever the Republicans used to be, they are now the party of everybody gets a KMA card, a kiss my ass card. That if you get pulled over by the cops, you just hold up your MAGA card and you're allowed to go on, and they'll go back to pulling over poor people. That's clearly how they think the world should run. And when somebody believes they say it, and when they believe the world should run like that there are people who are special, and then there are the rest of us, then those people are going to move the country in that direction. They are going to intentionally have policy. They're going to get on the Supreme Court and rule that the president basically can commit any crime he wants, and you can't even ask him about his motivations. And if you can find out he had a motivation to commit a crime and you can charge him with it later, that's fine. But you're not allowed to look for the motivation or see anything because it's none of your business. And that basically protects him. It creates this shell where they can So
I can't believe we can't even find a few decent Republicans that can at least admit what's wrong. I can't believe it.
Well, the problem is we can only a couple. There are a few, but there's only like 6.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm doing my best.
I know you are.
Best. I'm trying my damnest.
Yep. And
I hope I make it.
I do too. So OjedaForNC.com. Please, everybody go, and if you can donate, that would be lovely. Certainly anything you were gonna super chat me today, or any of that kind of stuff. If you have the means and the wherewithal, toss a couple of bucks his way. I think that would benefit us all long term as well. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, brother, and thank you for coming on and doing this.
It's been far too long, brother. It's been far too long, man.
I know you're a busy man.
Look. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, we got to do this more often. Still, I always enjoy this show.
Me too.
I tell people every time I come on a show and listen to you, I leave feeling like I got an education. So I don't care what anybody says. I still think you are one of the most intelligent people in politics, in comedy, in everything. It's an honor to be on your show, brother. It is always an honor.
I'm proud to have you as a guest, and you're welcome anytime. And I would love to, as we get closer to this election, especially, work my way down to your part of the country and have a live stream sit down where we just go through some policies, some literal bills, and some modifications of bills, and some changes that can happen that can be added to things that literally on the material front, amendments and those kind of things that will make a difference in people's lives. The kind of subtle changes Republicans make all the time under the table that we can make overtly in front of everybody and go, these are things that need to change in this, and they can, and everybody here knows it. It won't be a party line split on this vote because it will help people in all the states, not just your district, and that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, there's a lot of things that I want to do, and I'm going to try. And it's like, why don't we have a VA style system for police officers, firefighters, first responders, correctional officers? Let's add nurses to that, and we can even throw teachers and school service personnel because they're always having a hard time with healthcare.
Right.
So why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? I'm in the military. I retired from the military. The VA takes care of me. It takes care of my mental health. But a police officer and a firefighter and a first responder that have removed lifeless children from horrible wrecks, house fires, they just have to swallow it.
Yep.
Nobody there to listen to them. They got to just swallow it and hope they make it to retirement. They deserve a VA style system, and these are the things that I want to do. So,
I think that I think that's brilliant, and I will, if you don't mind, I'm going to make it my mission to craft what that draft of that legislation.
Let's do it.
If you don't mind,
Let's do it.
Because it's you want to talk about back in the blue for real. And caring about the people that we send out to protect our lives, and the worst day of your life is normal is their average day of work, and those kind of people, I think Republicans have seized because of they use crime as a boogeyman, to appear tough on crime, but they're also tough on cops. They're also tough on firefighters. They're also tough on medical professionals that are working their ass off in emergency rooms that don't make any money, where the poor are coming in, damaged and diseased and broken. And you're right, they don't get any of that similar help. And I think we as a society can all agree they deserve it. And that we can make that our responsibility, because it will make them better at their job and raise the standard of what it means to be in that job.
That's right. And we can hold these billionaires accountable who have never paid their fair share. We're going to start basically making them pay their fair share. We're going to start looking at problems, and we're going to basically say, we're going to let the billionaires take care of this problem. We can do that, and it's time for us to do that. Brother, I appreciate you, man. I always appreciate being on your show. And look forward to the next time.
Yep, we'll see it again. All right, thank you, brother. Thank you so much. OjedaForNC.com, everybody. If you feel like supporting, that would be lovely. At the very least, we'll. I'm gonna try and arrange sort of a call center moment as we get closer to the election. Go down there and make calls for the major. Just a good man, and thank you so much, brother. Yes. Cheers. And I am okay. It's close to the end of when my normal show would be, anyways. So I'm going to do something like a short little bit, because I want to show you something, and then we'll call it a night. I'll have a relatively normal show tomorrow. There won't be a morning show in the morning because of family stuff, and you guys know how we feel about that. It's family first around here. And there is, and it'll take me a moment to find it. I'm sure it's in my Discord, I bet. But Trump, his entire, I thought at one point, okay, there's a video that the White House put out that I swear to God is our first AI Trump. And I'm not kidding. I think they have decided that instead of having him sit down and do these little signing things where they hand him the little bills and all that kind of stuff, they're going to get there. Yeah, here it is. This is a thing called that the White House put out. And I want you guys to watch this with me. This is, there are a couple of things that happened in it where I was like, AI is getting better and they're going to have the best one. So, but I want to show you something. It's almost standard Trump, but almost. This is helping American citizens achieve the dream of home ownership. It's 3.5 minutes long. But I want you to watch something, because this reeks of an AI.
Today, I'm signing 2 historic executive orders continuing my administration's efforts to help more of our citizens achieve the dream of home ownership. It's called the American Dream. Thanks to our purchase of $200 billion in mortgage bonds, mortgage rates recently reached the lowest level in 5 years. This dramatically reduces monthly payments for...
Okay, real quick.
In 5 years.
Watch the camera.
This dramatically reduces monthly...
You see the camera go like this? Like that? I'm going to show it to you again.
The lowest level in 5 years. This dramatically reduces monthly...
Do you see that? It was like a perspective jump in it. Okay. That means that they either are using AI to edit pieces together, so they're, instead of cutting, so it's obvious, and they can't shoot him from 2 angles and he'll fuck it up, they're using multiple takes and they are sawing them together using AI. So it makes the image warble. Watch it again.
Level in 5 years. This dramatically reduces monthly payments for new home buyers.
You see it kind of like it almost did a parallax. Okay.
The annual cost of the typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 since I took office. I'm very proud of that. I also signed an executive order to stop Wall Street and large institutional investment firms from buying up all the single-family homes in the scheme to turn them into rentals and make lots of money in doing it. We want America to be a nation of owners, not renters. Today, I'm taking action to help reduce rates even more.
He is blazing this thing.
And make it much easier to build new homes in America. The first executive order is about bringing more community banks back into the mortgage business. 2 decades ago, over 5,000 community banks were offering mortgages. Today, that number has been slashed by more than 50%, largely because of burdensome, unnecessary regulations that radical liberals imposed on community lenders for the...
Did you hear the lenders? Listen to that.
Regulations that radical liberals imposed on community lenders.
Did you see the edit at lenders? Where they're using... they're like doing an AI gloss on this. I'm telling you. I watch a bunch of shows for Fried AI where people are using avatars which are basically like they copy themselves and then the avatar does the speaking for them. And these people use kind of what I would say the prosumer level to make it work. But what I think they did was they filmed a few of these and then they did an AI wash of the whole thing.
For the benefit of their donors on Wall.
So that's why lender sounded weird, is because it was actually an edit point. He fucked up and they did the edit in the middle of the word lender.
The liberals imposed on community lenders for...
See that? And his mouth goes, lenders, like that.
Regulations that radical liberals imposed on community lenders for the benefit of...
And his mouth doesn't move with the word lenders. Did you see that?
Their donors on...
Okay, real quick, chat room. I'm not nuts, right? You guys see this? This is... if this isn't full AI, they are using AI to do the bridge between all the multiple cuts it took to do them. And everybody's like, how many fingers? He's got one hand covering the other like he always does. Also, the pen over here on the side like falls over at one point. It like rolls over rando.
Wall Street, and frankly, for the benefit of themselves. The result was less competition and higher mortgage rates for hardworking Americans like you. That is why, under my order, we will eliminate the thicket of unnecessary rules and restrictions that crippled community banks. They've been hurt so badly. We're bringing them back. When more local banks start offering mortgages again, fees will go down, costs will fall, and home buyers will be able to get a mortgage under the more affordable terms that we're insisting on. The second executive order I'm signing today will help.
Yeah. This is AI. I'm just calling it. This is AI. There's like a couple of obvious edits in there, but they it's almost like they decided at one point, just like, fuck it.
Lower construction costs for building new homes so that home builders can offer Americans more affordable options. I'm going to sign them right now.
I don't know where that breath comes from on his mouth. It's like that, but he does have stroke mouth right now. I will notice, so that's why I think they actually shot a version of this and then fixed it. Also, the fingers look a little wonky.
No auto pen, okay? That's my real signature. It's not an auto pen like you had in the past. As part of the Green New Scam, the Biden administration and many state and local governments added endless, ridiculous regulations that raised construction costs very, very substantially. With my order today, we will slash many of these pointless regulations that do nothing for...
Like, he is just blathering it out. So I think that's what they did. I think he just gacked it out and then they slapped it together using AI. He wanted to do this. I'm sure he's doing the signature part of it. Yeah.
Safety and add lots of costs is really unfair to the home buyers. And ultimately, they're the ones paying for this disaster. Under the Trump administration, we want to make it possible for every American to live that American dream in a beautiful home. And it's really the one that they pick. It's going to be the apple of their eye. So I just want to thank everybody. Our country is doing really well. It's being thought of all over the world with great respect again, more than maybe it's ever had. Thank you very much. Have a good time.
Thank you very much. Have a good time. So, again, he slapped it together. They edited however many takes it took him to do it using AI. There's a couple of obvious moments in it, but yeah. And then they veneered it with that. Now, why would I think that? Okay, well, first of all, it's relatively obvious. But on top of that, he spoke today at this, the Shamrock Bowl presentation. Let's see, where am I? Yeah, here.
And they now understand.
Hold on.
Gardner Brothers, where...
Okay. This business, holy God. So yesterday he couldn't figure out who he was talking to. He couldn't tell Alfie from Pepe and that kind of stuff. Now he's stuck on this thing where he keeps saying the same shit over and over again, whatever. But he feels the need to like point out people in the crowd and like they're special to him or whatever, and he gets distracted into it, and it's almost like Levitt or somebody has to be there to pull him back in line. I'll show you a little like piece of this.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to have you. And we witnessed, I think you witnessed too, the Gardner Brothers. Where the hell are they? They could dance. They move those legs. I never saw anything like it. But they were terrific today at the Capitol, and I know you just got to witness them. But it's really wonderful being with you. We have a lot of things happening. I spent my whole day with the Irish.
He doesn't seem pleased.
And I should have been spending it with the Iranians, but that's not, in a different sense. We're doing very well, I will say. We're knocking them for a loop. They can't have a nuclear weapon, and they now understand that.
And they can't have a loop either.
Very strongly. But we have a great country, and we have an unbelievable military. We have the most powerful military in the world, and people see that.
Yeah, again, that was never a question.
And I rebuilt it in my first term.
No, you didn't.
I didn't know I'd have to use it so much in my second term, but...
because you thought you were going to use it in your first, but then COVID came along?
The men and women of our military, I pay them my highest love and compliments. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to welcome everyone to the beautiful White House. There's just no place like it, right? No place like it. And we have a beautiful addition that's going to be added on very soon. You probably hear about. In fact, see that beautiful curtain right
Oh, my God.
there, that gold curtain? That's going to be, it's like a knockout panel behind that curtain. And
Yeah, it's exactly like a knockout panel.
you'd be looking into a deep foundation.
That's just a red phone ringing. It's the Pentagon. There's a hypersonic nuke headed towards us.
Very, very deep into the ground.
Can somebody get that, please? Just put them on hold.
Right there, and then next time you come back,
Who the fuck has an old-fashioned ring phone?
maybe the next 2 times, okay?
Good. I'm honest to God, we are at war. I like the only fucking ringing phone might be the Pentagon.
Maybe not 4 next time, but by the second time, you're going to see one of the most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world. You know, they've always wanted a ballroom at the
They have.
White House. All the
Who are they?
presidents for 150 years, they say, or more, and they never had.
Yeah, before the White House was even there, they were going to build just a ballroom, just a place to rest your balls.
This is a beautiful room, but this is very small for, you know, when you think about state dinners and the things that we do.
No, it's really not. They should be relatively exclusive gatherings, just, I would say, for security. But then if you're just there to sell shit.
So they put out a tent on the lawn, and if it rained, it was a problem. It was a nasty problem. But it's a lot of work going on. I hear the pile drivers going, and to me, I love the sound of those pile drivers. My wife doesn't love it too much in the morning. She said, "Will they ever stop?"
She doesn't stay at the White House. She does not live there. She does not. She lives in New York all the time.
I said, "Yeah, another few
She's not there. She's not at all. This conversation did not happen.
months." But it's really something that's going on right over there. It's going to be a beautiful addition to the White House after 150 years. But on this special day, we gather here to celebrate an incredible feat of friendship between Ireland and the wonderful place that we call the United States. We call
Jesus Christ. Between Ireland and what was that other place? The place that I'm president of. I don't know. Or that Gavin Newsom is president
America.
of.
A lot of good names.
We're the United States of America. I've just, for the record, that's the official name. That's the one that matters.
But it's a great place, and it's doing really well. We've never
Is it? I've heard that. It's a great place.
done better. We took a little bit of a journey, a little bit of an excursion. Over the last 2 weeks, because we thought we had to do something about it.
We did? Oh, did we? We did? I'm sorry. I don't remember you consulting the representatives in government that represent what we think.
Very bad people that want to have nuclear weapons. We can't allow that. They would have had it. If we didn't send the B-2 bombers in, they would have had it 7 months ago, a couple of weeks after that. And we can't let that happen. So we did a little excursion, and we're way ahead of schedule, as you probably noticed.
No, we haven't.
And we've had, we knocked out their Navy, their Air Force.
Okay, same shit. So that's him at this this particular gathering. Then, if I may, there was, where's the other one? So he did this sit down with, I guess, where is it? I wanted to say it wasn't the Kennedy one. He didn't. They don't have it on the White House one. Let's see, the Trump Irish Roundtable, something like that. The bump at that. Yeah, that was the Shamrock event. Ugh. And then, yeah, here's the
celebration. We also honor 250 years of cherished Irish-American friendship.
Yeah, here you go.
And 250 years of fierce, proud, tenacious.
Hold on. This is him in his green tie. And there's Steve Scalise, and Steve Scalise was almost dead or something.
Well, we like it.
Okay, so there are two things he's been talking about a bunch. Is the fact that we're doing great in Iran and it's just an excursion, and how sick everybody is. So he brings up this thing at a dinner, with I guess the Republicans or whatever, where he brought up the fact that this one of the Republicans is dying. He's going to be dead by June because he's got a heart problem and it's terminal. And they're just like, well, we need him for the votes, right? And that he tells this story, and it wasn't known that this guy was sick, and now he can't stop fucking talking about it.
Great. Well, thank you very much, everybody. What an honor. Times, can you believe it? moving along. Well, we like it. You're a healthy guy. Between you and you, you've done very well medically.
What the- Okay, so he just had a checkup again, apparently. And the reason we watched that video that they put out was more than likely AI or fused together with AI is because he was probably just in the fucking hospital and they're not telling anybody. Because he can't stop talking about terminal diagnosis and how everybody is doing medically.
I can tell you. But there's a lot of truth. It's too long a story to tell, but these two guys are very special. I want to thank our great speaker. He's a great speaker, actually. He's a great speaker.
I mean, he doesn't speak very well, but
When you think of everything that we've passed with a sometimes majority of one, when we get back to 2, 3, and 4, Mike, we think we have it really made. We lost a couple, and we had a couple of people. They're in heaven now. They're looking.
Jesus Christ.
And that didn't help us with the vote, but we're doing all right, and you're getting things done like really nobody. I think there's never been anything like it. So I just want to thank you. You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, so he's been on and on about dead Republicans.
And I want to thank that beautiful, you're not allowed to say that about women anymore, but I say it anyway. Usually it's the end of your career. You're not allowed to use the word beauty in any form to introduce a woman, but she happens to be beautiful. Kelly, thank you very much. All Irish. I'm in deep trouble. I'm in deep trouble. There'll be headlines when I get out of this room.
Nah, not really. Not about that.
But I'll stick with it.
Nah, you're a pussy grabbing, grotesque, adjudicated rapist. Yeah, no, that's not the problem. It's the Epstein files.
But and then your family is so incredible too. So thank you very much. And to every friend of Ireland in this room today, I just want to wish you a very happy St. Patrick's Day, special day. It's a very great day. And to Taoiseach, you are a man that I've gotten to know, and you mean business. And he can tell a story like nobody can tell a story. And
That means he got confused while he was listening because the words were coming out too fast.
he said, "How did you speak for almost 2 hours?" A couple of weeks ago at a call, I'd called State of the Union. I said, "You could do it very easily. I guarantee you that. He could do it." But we've had a really great relationship. And Mary, thank you very much. Terrific. Thank you very much to be with you both. Hope you enjoy your stay. Also with us is House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Steve, great job. Deputy First Minister of Northern Ireland, and they get along so well. I saw that. You get along very well together. That's the way it's supposed to be, huh? I don't know if I should be promoting merger. I love mergers, but I didn't know. We're going to get in a little trouble. We're going to get in more trouble.
What the fuck?
More trouble with that.
Is he talking about these people getting married or us merging with Ireland? Are we going to take Ireland now?
And the beauty. But Emma Little Pengali, thank you very much, Emma. Thank you very much. And the ambassador from the Republic of Ireland, Geraldine Byrne Nason. Geraldine, thank you, Geraldine. Thank you very much. Ambassador from the United Kingdom, Christian Turner. Christian, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Christian. Thank you very much.
Thank for being close and holding your hand up so I knew who you were, even though I've been talking to you all afternoon.
And the U.S. ambassador to Ireland, a great golfer. This guy can play golf. He can play golf. Walshy, right? Can't you, huh? But Trump's not bad. I know. He's a great player, and he's having a lot of fun over there. What is that for a guy who loves golf? Is that the best location? Can you imagine? Ambassador to Ireland? That's got to be the greatest job in the world.
Yeah, because aren't yours in Scotland? So, yeah, way better.
Anyway, have a good time.
His golf courses are in Scotland.
Good time. You're doing a good job. As many of you know, this year we're celebrating something that is very special, the glorious 250th anniversary of America's founding.
Anniversary.
That's a big deal, and
He started to slobber already.
I'm very happy to be here. I wasn't supposed to be president right now. I was supposed to be maybe in Ireland taking it easy, or someplace taking it easy. But I'm president now, and I got the Olympics, I have the World Cup, and I have the 250th year, and we all have it together. And I just do want to say that the war is proceeding very, very strongly.
Just yeah, we're doing FIFA, Olympics, 250, but the war.
We're doing very, very well. Iran, knocking the hell out of them, and you have to do that. We can't let them have a nuclear weapon. They were 2 weeks away, in my opinion, 2 weeks
Again, 2 weeks away in your opinion. Really? Did the intelligence community have a timetable?
away from having a nuclear weapon. If those beautiful, magnificent machines, those B-2 bombers, if they didn't do their job 7 or 8 months ago, they would have had a nuclear weapon, and there would have been no talking to them.
So we got it. So why the fuck are we there now?
Talking at all. They would have used it very gladly, very happily, and you sort of see that by the fact that they were sending missiles, ballistic missiles, powerful missiles, to all of their neighbors, and for the most part, they were supposed to be somewhat friendly with their neighbors. They were
Yeah, I mean we have bases in all those countries.
going to blow the hell out of them, and that was going to be the Middle East, between Israel, the Middle East, and Europe would have been there, and we would have been there. There would have been no stopping, and we did a good job, and a lot of people appreciated it. A lot of presidents know they should have done it. It was 47 years of terror. Every time you see
The horror. By the way, none of the presidents told him that they should have done it. That all of the living presidents have issued statements going, he didn't talk to me, I didn't say that to him, which means he's talking to paintings. We have entered the drunk Nixon phase.
somebody with no legs, no arms, a face that's been really so badly damaged, so badly
Devastated?
hurt,
Disfigured?
lives destroyed. 95% chance it came right out of Iran. They loved that bomb. They loved that bomb.
He means the improvised explosive devices, IEDs.
And
They love that bomb. They just love it.
the father
They
of
love
that
it. They love it almost as much as coal miners love being in coal, just surrounded by it, just up to their neck in a pile of coal.
was, as you know, Soleimani, General Soleimani, and we got rid of him in my first term. And if we didn't get rid of him, I think it might have been a different story because
Yeah, they would have had nuclear IEDs within 2 weeks.
he was a bad guy, but he was a brilliant guy if you like to fight dirty.
You do.
And he fought as dirty as you can. So we've done something that a lot of people said that other people should have done long before I got here.
Yeah, the Project for a New American Century drafted this up in the 90s.
But it's my honor to do it, and we've had a
It is
very
such an
big
honor.
day today. We knocked out things that nobody thought were possible to knock out. Today was
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was. We knocked out things that nobody thought was possible to knock out. That's how they talk about it too. They mentioned it like we can't knock that out. That's unknockoutable.
a very big day already. As part of this great
So we're done.
celebration, we also honor 250 years of cherished Irish-American friendship and 250 years of fierce, proud, tenacious Irish-American heritage. These are incredible people. Oh, I know so many Irish. They're difficult, though, you know. They're very difficult. And they're great politicians. You know, I was just
Oh dear. Sorry, but the Irish part of me is gonna fucking hate this. I know it.
told, right, that 23 American presidents have some Irish blood in them, right? Some a little bit, and some a lot, right? That's a pretty.
Well, it was a very rapey area for a very long time. It was hard to escape if you're from, if any of your family's from the United Kingdom. All of your family is from the United Kingdom.
Big number. I don't think and nobody else competes with that. But out of the 56 signers of our Declaration of Independence, 11 were patriots with roots in Ireland. Back in July 4th, 1776, it was a son of Ireland who actually printed that sacred document for the first time. Who knew that?
Wikipedia.
And it was also an Irishman who first read its immortal words to the American public, proclaiming aloud that we are all made free and equal by the hand of our Creator and endowed by God with rights to life, liberty, and
God damn, he's gonna fucking gob all over the paper. Life, liberty.
the pursuit of happiness came out of the blood of Ireland.
No, it didn't. It did not. It was read by an Irishman. I guess there was blood in his veins when he spoke. Jesus Christ. Okay, so by the way, I think Obama does have some Irish blood. That said, where's the other one? So he also had this like sit down tomfoolery with it's the gathering. Yeah, it was his. Where was this? This is the. He took questions at the. At the sit down. Oh God, this is so rough. At the dinner, I'm scrolling through here. I want to grab those. It was insane how he basically just dumped someone's health diagnosis all over the place. Okay, so let's see. Trump terminal diagnosis. Yeah, here it is. This is so fucked up. Part of this, this was at the. He's talking about a Republican who's got a terminal diagnosis. He's going to die by June, apparently. And listen to how he does it. And then again, this is a fixation. This is what tells me he just got out of one of his medical checkups.
The Speaker of the House got the easiest job of anybody in government.
And he's still slobbering because he can't swallow because he's got dementia.
He's got a majority of 2. I don't like to say 1 because it varies, but between 1, 2, and 3. And I think you're the only man that's ever lived that's able to be very happy about it. In fact,
be very happy about it? You mean handle a challenge of that magnitude? I'm sorry, I'm using words.
When we get up to 3, every once in a while we get up to 3. Actually, for a period of time, we had it up to 4, and then we had a death, and death is very bad.
I agree. Look at that. Fuck me. Death. Yeah. By and large, it's not. Part of the great. Majesty of life, Death is very bad, though. I think, okay.
Added up.
Broken clock moment for Trump.
To 4, and then we had a death, and death is very bad when you're the Speaker and you have a majority of 2 or 3. But we had a death, and then we had another death, and we.
Holy shit! Look at Mike Johnson's face. I can't even. Okay, hold on 1 second. Now I'm like, where is it? Oh.
Keep an eye out for the end times.
Yeah, especially if you're Mike Johnson.
Had some things, and but we're looking very strong. We had one man who was very ill. It looked like he wasn't going to make it. I don't know. I won't mention his name. Should I?
Yes, he will.
Do other people know his name? Do you want to mention it? He'll be proud. Go ahead. Tell him the story.
Tell him the story about the guy who's dying. The guy is going to be dead in a couple months, but we got his vote, so ba-boom.
Well,
look at the look on his face. The guy is fucking dying. They're talking about a Republican member of Congress who has a terminal diagnosis. He's going to fucking die. And look at Mike Johnson's face. Look at Trump's face. He's fucking giddy about this.
thank you, Mr. President.
Death is very bad when it happens and you need the votes.
Congressman Neil Dunn of Florida had some real health challenges, and it was very serious, and had a pretty grim diagnosis. And I mentioned it to the president, and I said, Congressman Dunn is a real champion and a patriot because he's still coming to work. And if others got this diagnosis, they would be apt to go home and retire. And
what was the diagnosis?
Tell him what he's dying of.
It was, I think it was a terminal diagnosis.
He would be dead by June.
Jesus Christ. Look at his face. He thinks it's cute. This is so awful. This is mind-numbingly, stunningly terrible. Do you realize what a raging piece of shit of a human being you would have to be to go, tell about the dead guy?
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay, that's it was grim. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I told him, thank you. Look at his fucking face.
I don't think
With
he
a
would
heart
mind.
problem, by the way.
Jesus Christ. It's not anybody's fucking business.
This was a heart problem.
So, the long story short, the president called him to encourage him and thank him, and
What the fuck is that? It's a heart, he's dying of a heart problem. He's just, fucking tell him about the dead guy.
they had a conversation, and the president mentioned in the course of the conversation, you know how to get my doctors involved, and they did, and within a number of hours, they took him to Walter Reed, emergency surgery. The man has a new lease on life. He acts like he's 30 years younger, and he walked into the conference meeting, and we thought we'd seen a ghost. And I spoke with him over the weekend, and he's encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention, and thank you. Thank you.
He seems disappointed. Do you notice he seems disappointed at the end of the story where it looks like the guy might live? He probably won't, by the way. It's like, look, as soon as the guy's like gonna live and he's going back to work, look at Trump's face.
Encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention, and
I liked it better when he was dying by June.
thank you.
Look at his fucking face. He just forgot what it, like, you could tell he just forgot what the goddamn conversation was about. Holy shit. Now it's, okay, this is the longer one. Hold on.
The Speaker of the House, he's got the easiest job of anybody in government. He's got a majority of 2. I don't like to say 1 because it varies, but between 1, 2, and 3. And I think you're the only man that's ever lived that's able to be very happy about it. In fact, when we get up to 3, you know, every once in a while we get up to 3. Actually,
Hold on. We already saw it, like, tell him about the dead guy. He slaps him on the back. And then,
that he was.
Thank you. Thank you.
He
It was
actually
amazing.
called Mike. Mike called me and he said, "Sir, we're up by 3, but we're going to lose 1 by June." I said, "Who?" Neil Dunn. He's a great congressman.
he's
Incredible.
telling the
He called
story.
to say that he was terminal.
He's just telling the same story a second time. Like, look at his fucking face when he finished the story.
And he walked into the conference meeting, and we thought we'd seen a ghost.
Like, Trump is totally checked out. He's gone. He doesn't, like, he's lost track of where the conversation is.
I spoke with him over the weekend, and he's
Look at him. Like, his brain has gone completely fucking blank.
encouraged and thankful, and he thanks the president for his leadership and intervention, and thank you. Thank you.
He
It was
actually
amazing.
called Mike. Mike called me and he said, "Sir, we're up by 3, but we're going to lose 1 by June." I said, "Who?" Neil Dunn. He's a great congressman. Incredible. He called to say that he was terminal, really bad heart. There's nothing they can do. I said, "That's bad." Number 1, it was bad because I liked him. Number 2, it was bad because I needed his vote. But he really said, "Mike, I'm going to last this out for the president and you, and however long I live," I mean, it looks like June is the time, but
Holy fucking shit. Just, okay, I'm just saying, he talks about somebody he likes this way. Imagine how he feels about you.
however long I live, I'm going to be voting for you. I mean, how many people are going to say that? Most of them are going to say, "Mike, I'm retiring immediately. That's the end."
He's an extraordinary
But
man.
he didn't do that. It was really impressive. And then I realized I have doctors in the White House. The White House doctors are incredible, and they've helped me with other people.
Med beds.
They're helping me with people right now. People that are very sick are like they're miracle workers. And I said I have to
Sorry, you're handing out Walter Reed to your rich buddies?
call them. And I called the 2 doctors. They're both great, and they immediately went over to see the congressman. And he was on the operating table like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
And it was a long operation. They gave him more stents and more everything that you could have. I think he's got everything that you could possibly have. And they called up. They said, "Sir, I think he'll be fine." I said, "You got to be kidding." He said, "I think he'll be fine." And Mike was telling me the story that the other day he came into a meeting for the first time in a long while. Go ahead.
Well,
He just did tell. He just told the story. He just said it came in and it was like seeing a ghost. He has a new lease on life. He's like he's 30 again. We just fucking heard him.
It was incredible. I mean, he has a new lease on life. He has more energy than a man half his age, and very encouraged and encouraged all of us. So again, a testament to great leadership. And my hat's off to Neil Dunn and his beautiful wife and family. He's an extraordinary individual.
And just, because I don't want
Oh fuck! Now he's going to talk about Susie Wiles.
to have a terrible story about this, I did it for him first and for the vote second. But it was a close second, actually. But I did it for the vote second. All right?
Holy shit! And then, okay, same kind of situation with Susie. Let's see, Trump, Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles has breast cancer, and then he just says it the same way at the. Let's see. Yeah, here you go.
CBS News senior White House correspondent.
That's right.
He says it in the thing, but then he.
President.
Oh wait, they don't have it. Damn it! I want to see it, like, cause he released that thing and then he says it. Yeah. Here you go.
I want to also introduce Susie Wiles, who's fantastic. She's our chief of staff, and she's an amazing person, an amazing fighter. And she announced a minor difficulty, which will be in good shape. Good shape for, he'll be around for a long time.
She will pee around for a long time.
Will be in good shape. Good shape for, he'll be around for a long time.
Yeah, she'll pee around for a long time. So she's got a bladder issue?
She has
She pees herself? She wets herself?
She had a diagnosis. You probably saw it. And she's going to take care of it immediately, as opposed to waiting.
Sure. Yeah, Yeah, who wants to jump on cancer?
Let's do it now. I said do it immediately, because with that particular ailment, the faster the better. That's the only thing I know about it. The faster the better.
It's the only thing you know about it.
She's going to do it immediately. So she
Sorry, that's the only thing you know about breast cancer is the faster the better.
started, actually. And she's going to be in great shape. The prognosis there is excellent, beyond excellent.
Beyond excellent. She's going to get a boob job while she's at it. She'll be in here with a fresh pair of tits. It'll be great.
Thank you, sir. But who needs it, right? That's right. Who needs it?
Yeah, who needs cancer? You know what I mean? That's the new thing. Instead of fuck cancer t-shirts, who needs a cancer moonshot like Biden was trying to put together? Whew. So on that note, chat room, I appreciate you guys very much. I will see you tomorrow afternoon. I want to thank the Major for coming on and sticking around and waiting for me. And I appreciate your guys' patience as my schedule, because of a very similar situation to what Susie Wiles is going through in our family, that takes up a bit of time, and so I won't be having a morning show tomorrow. Because Summer has a doctor's appointment, so and that is open. I'm not spilling anything out of school about that. As a matter of fact, I'm fairly close to the keeping my it's weird, fairly close to the chest, keeping your cards close to the chest. It's a weird thing to say about this kind of cancer, but anyways, she's taken care of, and she's going to be great too. And Summer's already beyond excellent, so I don't know what the prognosis is on that. But it's a pain in the ass to go through, and it's not comfortable. And even though she's going to be fine, the period where you're going through the treatment kind of sucks. So I'm going to go take care of my girl and feed my son. So I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. And thank you guys for sticking with me and supporting the show and subscribing. And thank you for the Venmos and all that kind of stuff, and the super chats we saw today. I saw a few of them go by while I was talking, and I tend to jabber and I miss them, and I will miss you tomorrow morning, but I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And I mean, we got to kind of go out this way, I think. Since it's St. Patty's Day, don't you know? I'm going to go listen to some fucking Enya and watch some Peaky Blinders. Have a great night, everybody.
The hills are weeping, soft and slow. A shadow falls where I can't go. The wind, it whispers, calling low. Oh, carry me to where the sky meets the sea. Oh, carry me, oh, set me free. A lone bird cries, its wings so frail. The heather bends beneath the gale. I chase a dream, a fleeting trail. The stones remember the earth it knows, where silent rivers gently flow. I stand alone as sorrow grows. Oh, carry me to where the sky meets the sea. Oh, carry me, oh, set me free. The wind fades quiet.